Welcome to the Futuristic AI channel. Subscribe and let's dive into the program real fast. Robotic animals are lifelike reproductions of actual creatures that include sophisticated sensors and software to mimic their movements, sounds, and behaviors. They can be used for a range of conservation purposes, including tracking and monitoring wildlife, finding poachers, and gathering information on the habitats and behaviors of animals. Robotic animals have come to light as a potential and sustainable option to conserve and maintain endangered species as more and more species face the threat of extinction owing to habitat loss, poaching, and climate change. This article will examine the possible advantages of employing robotic animals for conservation as well as how this groundbreaking technology is being used in a number of global conservation initiatives. Snotbot. Snotbot has a goal in mind. The rare sei whale is directly above the toaster-sized drone as it hovers over the wide ocean. Andy Robin is beaming with happiness on a nearby boat. Despite spending his whole career researching whales, he had never encountered this species. Robin works at the Gloucester, Massachusetts-based Ocean Alliance as a marine biologist. But he is currently on an expedition close to the Azores, a group of islands in the center of the Atlantic. Woof! All of a sudden a cloud of snot is released by the enormous whale. It soaks the drone that is hovering entirely. Robin applauds. That is what his team had anticipated would occur. A petri dish is a feature of Snotbot. That dish now contains sei whale snot, which is also referred to as whale blow. Robin observes that occasionally the air has a fishy odor. It has a water-like consistency. It resembles the ocean more than slime. So perhaps it isn't as revolting as human boogers. Mucus is present, nevertheless. Also, the DNA found in that mucus can provide crucial information to scientists about whales. Moreover, Snotbot has a camera. Operators might take away the petri dish on some flights. The bot is then sent out to capture aerial images and movies of whales. Drones have helped us to obtain a deeper picture of how whales swim, how they behave, how they interact, and how many travel in a group, explains Robin. He is not alone with Snotbot. Drones are being used by those working to protect and better understand animals all across the world. At the distant Falkland Islands in the South Atlantic, some people are counting seabird colonies. Others include monitoring and counting critically endangered orangutans in Sumatra and Muriki's monkeys in Brazil. Drones and camera traps are also being used in Africa to monitor for poachers who might endanger rhinos and other protected wildlife. Flying cameras. To find creatures, wildlife experts frequently hike through bushes and jungles. People can fly in a helicopter to observe creatures from above or watch whales from a boat. These flights can be risky and very expensive. Also, their noise could terrify animals. Also, because there is nowhere to stop or refuel, helicopters are unable to go very far out over the ocean. Lian Pin Ko and Sergewich pondered whether there would be a simpler way to obtain the same kinds of data back in 2011. We both discovered how much work it is to count animals, explains Wich. We pondered the possibility of doing so while using a flying camera. Educated at Liverpool John Moores University in England, which is a specialist in conservation and ecology. At the National University of Singapore, Ko studies ecology. Together, they modified camera equipment, sponges, and a remote control model airplane to create a drone. According to which, the sponges absorbed the drone's vibrations. The pictures wouldn't be too hazy that way. Drones could still be purchased at the time, but they were quite expensive, tens of thousands of dollars. This DIY version was less than $2,000 in price. It's what Wich & Co. refer to as a conservation drone. And it was successful. The orangutan was photographed in its nest at the top of a very tall tree during a test flight by the drone. Which explains, that was a pretty exciting moment. They understood that this was simply the start of an entirely new approach to conservation efforts. In order to communicate what they were discovering with other researchers across the world, they also founded the organization conservationdrones.org. Finding hidden monkeys. One of these scientists is Fabiano Melo, who works at the Brazilian Federal University of Viçosa. He examines the northern Muriqui in his capacity as an ecologist. The Brazilian tropical jungles are home to this unusual, huge monkey. They literally live in harmony, claims Mello. Nobody fights over women or food, they say. They only consume leaves and blossoms. But there is a serious threat to these monkeys. Only 1,000 are still living in the wild. Their largest danger is from forest fires. Most frequently, these fires are started in order to clear land for farming. The habitat of the animals is also destroyed by those flames. To prevent people from lighting fires close to the muriquis, Mello must be aware of their location. Yet until he discovered drones, identifying uncommon monkeys in a large forest wasn't simple. In 2017, Mello became its first ever pilot. He claims that his co-workers now refer to him as the maestro of drones. His most recent drone sports a hybrid camera and is known as Droneka. Regular images and movies can be taken using it. Alternatively, it may sense heat using a thermal sensor. For Mello, receiving this sensor was a miracle. Even when the muriqui were concealed by dense foliage and branches at the tops of the forest's tree canopies, it was still able to sense their body heat. Counting penguins. Drone pilot Madeline Hayes attends Boston University in Massachusetts as a graduate student. She recalls a period in college when she experienced severe discouragement. The world appeared to be experiencing far too many environmental problems. Yet she found a new enthusiasm when she learned about drone technology. You can obtain a ton more information, she claims. And thanks to all of this data, you can explore completely new problems that no one has ever been able to investigate. Invasive aquatic plants in the Lake Champlain Basin in Vermont and water quality at Morehead City Harbor in Beaufort, North Carolina, have both been the subject of drone research by Hayes. But she was not allowed to use the drones for one recent project. Drone pictures from the Falkland Islands had already been collected by another group of researchers also known as the Malvinas Islands. They are located just east of South America's southernmost point. Thousands of black-browed albatross colonies and southern rockhopper penguin colonies could be seen in the pictures. The two seabirds share a nest. Black-browed albatrosses were classified as endangered a few decades ago. Their population has been increasing as a result of conservation measures. Nonetheless, numbers of southern rockhopper penguins are declining. That's mostly because it's becoming more difficult for them to locate food due to climate change and overfishing. Although significantly less concerning than the endangered designation, they are regarded as vulnerable. But if nothing is done to support them, even weak species risk extinction. Both varieties of birds require the attention of experts. Prior to the invention of drones, biologists had to visit the islands to hand count the birds. This took a lot of money and time. Only about every 5 to 10 years could they afford to invest the time and money necessary to conduct a thorough count. Between counts, a lot might happen to the birds. But Hayes discovered a method for automatically counting birds using drone photographs. The woman applied machine learning. An artificial intelligence (AI) method trains a computer program using enormous sets of samples. Defending rhinos and other species. No longer is Serge needed to construct his own drones. But he continues to fiddle. Which is developing AI that can recognize many animal species automatically with the help of colleagues Carl Chalmers, Paul Fergus, and Stephen Longmore. Computer scientists Fergus and Chalmers. An astrophysicist, Longmore. At Liverpool John Moores University, they are all employed. Their endeavor is known as conservation AI. The model examines the information when someone uploads an image or video. The model then picks out anything it can. As of right now, it can identify lions, elephants, rhinoceroses, zebras, humans, cars, and a lot more. The conservation AI team must use the same procedure as Hayes in order to add a new species or item to this list. Workers must manually draw and label rectangles on thousands of photographs. This model can be used by researchers to locate or count animals. Which believes that someday, people will use it to defend animals against poaching or unlawful hunting. Drones and video traps are already widely used in wildlife preserves to monitor endangered species. However, a ranger usually needs to keep a watch on the video stream. In the future, an AI model might be used to keep watch. When a drone or camera detects questionable activity, it might automatically transmit notifications. In an East African study that was published last year, the scientists investigated this theory. At a field location in Tanzania, staff members and students played the roles of poachers. During various periods of the day, the researchers flew drones over the fictitious poachers. At times, the actors were on the go. Sometimes they were motionless. They might have been exposed or concealed by leaves. The researchers occasionally made use of drones with conventional cameras. They had thermal cameras at other times. Thank you for watching. Follow for more.